Hi everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and I am here with a card project for you. Today I'm going to be making a baby shaker card. Now this is not a shaken baby card, this is a baby shaker card. I'm going to be using this classic confetti die from Studio Calico and some of these color theory sequins from Studio Calico as well. And I had the enamel dots there, I didn't actually end up using them. But I've gone ahead and cut a piece of watercolor paper with my Silhouette Cameo, and I've created that baby window on the front just by cutting the word baby out. And I wanted to create an ombre effect with this, so what I'm going to do is use some mist to do that. And I'm turning this piece upside down because I want the dark color at the top of the piece, and I'm just going to spritz it kind of at the same level as the card with the Merry Merry Mr. Huey's first. So I'm just kind of letting the bulk of the color be at the top and it fade out to the bottom. Now what you can't see that I'm doing here is I actually sprayed it with some Calico Shine as well, and I'm just kind of blotting up a little bit of the extra color in some of the places that I didn't like it. And I just kind of played with this and went back and forth. I'm going to add a little bit more of that pink Merry Merry color in here. You see me do that. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of the Calico Shine. And I just went back and forth with those until I got the look I wanted. So once I got that done, I took the nozzle out and I actually splattered some more of that Merry Merry onto the bottom. I ended up not liking this, and I'll show you how I fix that later without redoing the whole thing. And then one more time with the Calico Shine over that, and it just kind of helps wash out that pink color too and kind of waters it down a little bit. So now it's time to bring in my classic confetti die, and I just took this off the backer and it has a little bit of tape, but I did want to show you this comes up really easily. I just used my little Cricut spatula here. I got under that piece of tape and it just pulled right up. So once I got that off, I'm going to turn this over blade side up on my Genius platform, and this is my Evolution die cut tool here. I'm going to lay the papers over those, and then I'll use my A-mat to cut. Now, if I were going to do this again in the future, I would only cut one sheet of paper at a time because I found that it cuts really well if you just do the one sheet by itself. So now you can see that I am just poking out all the little confettis. They come out easy if you do one layer, but if you do two layers, then not so much, so it's a little bit more work. And I wanted to show you can also use a paper piercer to just kind of poke those out. And check this out, I thought this would make a really cool piece for the front of a card as well, so I'm going to set that aside. Now that I have all of my confetti cut, I'm going to bring in my card base again, and this is where I'm going to fix some of those splatters that I ended up not liking. I just took a paintbrush dipped in water and kind of washed those out so they weren't quite as noticeable. And then I'm going to hit it with my heat tool to dry it. And that little bit of water really did help in the end. I was pleased with the way that that turned out. So I have a piece of acetate here, and this is going to be the front of my window, if you will. I'm going to cut it down to the size I need, just a couple inch piece to make sure that I cover that whole baby word there to enclose it. So you can just use your trimmer to cut this acetate with. And then I'll use my Tombow Mono Multi-Glue and go all around the perimeter of that word to create a good seal so that I'm not having leaky confetti around my window. And then I'll bring in my acetate and just place it over that. And then I can trim off the excess. Now, like I said, make sure you get a nice good seal. This is going to be important in the future. So now that I have that all done, I'm going to start adding my foam adhesive to the back of this. And I'm just cutting some pieces to fit around. The important thing when you're creating a shaker card is wherever your window or your shaker window is, you want to make sure you get a seal on all four corners. So do you see how all of the ends are meeting up at that corner? I butted it right up against the top edge because you don't want to leave a space for that confetti or the sequins to kind of come out. And then once I get all that done, I will add foam adhesive to the rest of the back of the card as well. The piece of vellum is cut slightly larger than the card front that I have cut out here, and it's going to serve as the back to hold the confetti in. And so I have all of this confetti. It's a mixture of different colors of pinks, silver, there's some pearlescent white paper, and I'm just going to sprinkle some in there. I'm just kind of picking out some of the pieces that I like, and then the rest I actually saved for later, so it's a lot of confetti, but I have enough for a few cards still as well. And then once I get the confetti in, I'm going to bring in some coral-based sequins. I'm going to sprinkle a few of those in, and these sequins are really cool because they come, one package has a couple different sizes and then some stars in it as well. These are the Blush Crush sequins from Studio Calico, and then the Platinum Status sequins as well. So I kind of mixed them all up there. And then I'm going to take all of the backer off of this foam adhesive, and I'm going to lay my piece of vellum right down over it. And this is going to hold all of that confetti and sequins into that window there. So you can see me shaking it around here, and I actually am going to go back and change it later. And you'll see me. This is me. I don't always do things perfectly, but you can see I'm kind of fussing with that. It's not moving as much as I want it to, and I'll show you how I fix that later. But for now, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to work a little bit on the front of this card and just add some more confetti so it's kind of looking like it's spilling down the front of the card as well. I'm going to add some confetti and some more sequins, and then when I get everything where I want it, I'm going to take this Studio Matte Medium by Claudine Helmuth, I believe, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my craft sheet, and then I'll take each of those sequins and confetti, and I will just take my tweezers, I will dip them into the matte medium there, and then I'll just place them onto the front of the card. So you'll see me just tap it in there. It needs just a little tiny bit, and I got too much there, so I'm just kind of wiping it off on my mat, and then I'll put it onto the front of the card. And I'm just finishing up with the sequins and the confetti here. And once I get that done, then I'm kind of taking stock of my card once more. And I'm looking at the way that this is shaking, and I'm just not happy. So you'll see me, I actually ripped this apart. And what I'm doing here is, instead of just the one layer of foam adhesive, I am going to add 2 layers of foam adhesive to all of the foam adhesive that's on the back of this. And this just allowed a little bit more room for that confetti to kind of move within the window. So once again, I'm going to make sure it's sealed on all 4 edges. And I'm going to double up the foam adhesive on all of them. And this time, instead of using a full piece of vellum, I just covered the back of that window, and then I put a whole nother piece of vellum onto the back. So it's shaking much better there. You can see it just allowed more room. So here's that larger piece of vellum now, and I'm just going to place that directly in the center, and that's just going to serve as another mat. It gives kind of like a really dreamy feel, I feel like. Vellum is just a really cool addition, and especially for this baby card. So to attach this to the card base, I'm just going to use some tape runner adhesive and put that onto the card base, which is made of watercolor paper. And to finish it off, I'm going to add a giant bow, because what would a girl card be without a giant bow? And that is some silk ribbon from Paper Source. And finally, just to give a little more texture to the vellum, I actually am kind of folding it up and ripped it in a couple places, so you can see how it's kind of sticking up there. So here is my completed baby shaker confetti card. I think this would also make a really cool birthday card. You could cut out the word happy and stamp the word birthday below and change it to some bright and fun colors. I have lots more information on this project over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I've also linked all the products that I used in this project at my blog, and they are in the YouTube description as well. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a fabulous day.